Fighter of the year is an easy choice.
Very easy.
There are, there's honorable mentions. Vitaly Klitschko, I guess you could say, is an honorable mention. Amir Khan's had a very good year.
Ward had a nice year.
Yeah, Andre Ward had a terrific year. He really came up. I would say maybe he's the front runner, but the winner has got to be Manny Pacquiao. I mean, Michael, how could it be anybody else?
We're in a situation now that I hope that we as boxing writers and the fans realize that this is something very special going on right now. And I wrote this in a column that greatness is fleeting. We need to enjoy Manny Pacquiao while he's still here, because what he's doing right now is spectacular. The knockout of Ricky Hatton, the second-round knockout of Ricky Hatton, which would be the knockout of the year if we were doing that.
Right.
It was just unbelievable. It was just, I hate to keep using this word, but it was absolutely breathtaking. I'll never forget that as long as I live. That might be the greatest knockout I've ever seen.
Yeah, you know what? It's up there.
And then he comes back, a few months later, and he fights Miguel Cotto, who we think is better than Ricky Hatton.
Definitely.
It's good for a couple of rounds.
Fight of the year candidate for 4 rounds.
Yeah, and then Pacquiao hurts him. I mean, really hurts him. Maybe worse than he's ever been hurt. And then Cotto has to make a decision. Cotto decides, listen, if I keep fighting this guy toe to toe, I'm going to get hurt. He said, I'm not going to last very long. So he starts to backpedal. And that's kind of how the fight finishes. But what we saw was fantastic. That was a dominating performance.
Right.
Both
winning both fights in dominating fashion in different ways. And we should note that when he knocked out Ricky Hatton, he won recognition as the real world champion at junior welterweight. When he stopped Miguel Cotto in the 12th round of their fight, he won a major world title in the welterweight division. That's the 7th division where he has either held a title or linear claim or a legitimate world championship. That is amazing. That's never been done before. We're talking about flyweight, junior featherweight, junior lightweight, junior welterweight, and he still has that distinction. And he's also now a belt holder at welterweight. I don't like it when people compare fighters to the fighters from the golden age, the old timers from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. But I don't blame people for comparing Manny Pacquiao against Henry, comparing him to Henry Armstrong or any of the greats. You can compare him to anybody. I won't be mad at somebody for comparing him to Sugar Ray Robinson, saying, okay, this is a guy who's like Sugar Ray Robinson for our era. But he still has some things to prove, and he's got a tremendous fight that is almost done. Is probably going to be signed before the end of this year. A mega showdown with Floyd Mayweather next March is the tentative schedule, probably in Las Vegas. So what are your thoughts on this fight?
Well, first of all, I don't have a problem with people comparing Pacquiao to the all-time greats either, although I personally have problems with it. I normally want to wait to the end of a guy's career to sort of look back and reflect, and then that's kind of how you decide where a guy fits in among the all-time greats. But there's a caveat here. If he fights, assuming he fights Mayweather and he beats Mayweather, which obviously is not going to be easy, I think really at that point you need to say, okay, really, this guy is among the all-time greats. But that's a tough task. You asked me what I thought about the fight. Wow.
And there's 2 ways to look at it.
Yeah.
There's looking at the fight, how they match up stylistically, and there's also just looking at, from the business perspective, how big of an event is this? I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it. I mean, it is an event, and it's a terrific fight.
Yeah, I think in terms of the event, it's just ridiculous. One figure I heard was 5 million pay-per-view buys. I'd be shocked if that happened, but just the fact that people who know the sport are throwing out numbers such as that, I'm like, wow, this is really something. But believe me, that will capture the imagination of not only boxing fans, but people beyond boxing fans. Now, in terms of the fight, it is a fascinating matchup. You got a guy who's very aggressive, who likes to exchange punches, against a guy who likes to box, who likes to move. It's sort of a classic aggressive guy versus a boxer. My fear, and I told you this, my fear is that it could turn out to be a tactical fight.
Well, look at the second half of the Cotto fight. Cotto was badly damaged. He'd been dropped twice, dropped hard in the 4th round. He should have been finished, really, in the 5th or 6th rounds, but he made a choice to basically dance away, kind of use his legs and some lateral movement.
To survive.
And the only punch he used was a jab, and we all know that Cotto's got a good jab, but I think Mayweather has a faster, sharper, more accurate jab. what happens if Mayweather employs the very same tactics?
I don't think that Floyd's going to run, but I think he's not going to engage. I think necessarily, and he will engage at points, but overall he's not going to engage that much. He's such an unbelievably good defensive fighter. I'm not going to.
Best I've seen.
Yeah, I'm not going to tip my hand who I think is going to win. But let me just say that Mayweather is an unbelievable boxer in general. He's just a fantastic defensive fighter. It's going to be very difficult for Pacquiao to hit Mayweather.
Two guys with legitimate claims to being the best fighter pound for pound in the world. Pacquiao is the offensive force, and Mayweather is the defensive master. But I think it's just amazing that we're talking about this fight being one of the biggest fights of all time in terms of revenue, but also a fight where casual boxing fans, casual sports fans are interested about it and are talking about it. I mean, we're talking about Manny Pacquiao. I mean, I think that's a factor in him being fighter of the year. It's not just the accomplishments in the ring and the fact that he's grown physically as a fighter into a legitimate junior welterweight and a legitimate welterweight who can take a welterweight's punch and deliver a welterweight punch, but he's grown in terms of his stature within the United States. It's been a great 2009, and we have a tremendous 2010 already scheduled for us. The fact that Mayweather-Pacquiao is the biggest fight of the year, and it's scheduled for the first quarter of 2010, I think that sets the tone for the rest of the year. What a year it's going to be. We have the continuation of the Super Six, and right in January, we have the return of Shane Mosley against a young lion and Andre Berto. I think it's going to be a terrific year, and we're going to enjoy covering it with Ring TV. I'm Doug Fisher.
I'm Michael Rosenthal.
And we'll see you ringside.